I guess we'll call the meeting to order. Go with roll call.
Roderick Anderson.
Present.
Eric Bachman.
Here.
Tim Desario.
Here.
Rob Howard, absent. Jean Schneider.
Here.
Bill Warner.
Here.
Randall Ryder.
Here.
Great. First item on the agenda is the meeting minutes from last month. Hopefully everybody had time to read them.
They were long.
Yeah, they were, weren't they?
A little bit.
They were long.
Yeah.
They were a lot.
Anybody have any, make a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
There we go. Okay.
Have to vote.
All
Oh.
in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Okay. Next item is resident request for revision of the village ordinance 98-5, clarification for garage review and recommendation for board. So I took the assignment 2 meetings ago to do some investigation into that. So what I did is I had contacted, it was recommended that I contact the building inspector to try to get some ideas on what other municipalities around us are doing. So let me, if you don't mind, you'll pass a couple of these down. There's one for you. Pass one down. I made 7. Hopefully I got enough here. Let me pass those down that way. And then, here's copies of our current. I'll give you pass these down. 2. There's 3. Okay. And then one for you. Is that it? Oh, wrong one.
That's agenda one, nope. Yeah, I think I have one here.
Do you have one there? Okay. So the current ordinance, when it comes to the garage, says garage residential means any accessory building in a residence district for the storage of private motor vehicles. A resident garage shall not exceed 900 square feet of floor space and shall be of materials and architecture compatible with the principal structure. Now, the concern was that somebody could build a steel building type of building or something that wasn't fitting for a neighborhood. So what I did is I contacted, like I said, the building inspector, and if you take a look at the last paragraph or the last sentence, this is from the city of Hudson, okay? And it says the exterior color, design, and/or materials shall be similar in principle to the building. Now, when we discussed this at the last meeting, or 2 meetings ago, Gene had a concern that if you make it too restrictive, you're gonna kill anybody's idea of doing anything. And I happen to agree with that position, that we can't make it too restrictive, but there was concern, you voiced that concern, about somebody building something that's totally out of line with what's going on. So the building inspector, his experience is that this last line, it says the exterior color, design, and/or material shall be similar to the principal building, kind of keeps it open, but puts some more barriers around what somebody can do. So I'd like to discuss that if anybody has any opinion on that, agree, disagree.
Is that only for structures that are facing the street?
It's
Or
not
there are
specific.
Structures that are behind the street, are they exempt or? I don't know, I
No.
just thought of that.
No, not that I'm aware of. A garage is a garage. Doesn't matter if you see it or don't see it.
Okay, but if the garage is on the back end of your property, does that have to beat these if you don't see it? I mean, is just a question, I mean. some
Yeah, based
people-
on what it says here, it just has to be similar.
Is a garage different than a shed that's big?
That's a valid point. I can't answer that.
I don't know, I'm thinking of questions that might come up.
Sure. I just looked at it purely from a garage standpoint, okay?
Okay.
And did searches with multiple communities around here with the help of the building inspector. And this is the exterior color, design, and/or material shall be similar in principal building his experience says that that addresses somebody from building something totally out of line with the neighborhood.
It seems not restrictive, and it seems broad enough to allow some latitude in terms of interpretation.
So you're comfortable with that
it,
wording?
Yeah, i.e. that it is up to today's code and not up to a 1950s code. So they can't say, hey, I built it like this, it was 20 on center. As long as it's up to code, I think that should be up to that and principal code of today's. But yeah, as long as it has the color existing, and this is where we want people to come to us, because if they have a cedar house and they're like, we don't want to upkeep another garage with cedar, but we will match a cedar tone in vinyl or steel, then they could come and request that. But I like it being open enough that we would be able to allow that, and that we're not shutting down people for making anything, but we understand that the ease of it.
So is anybody else have any other feedback? Any feedback from the public? You want us to- Yeah,
I guess that at this point, the reason I brought it up was the word compatible. The word compatible was vague. And I went through this with quite a few people. Well, how do you make it so that somebody doesn't put up a pole shed,
Yeah.
you know, with steel, you know, cheap? You know what they look like after a few years.
Sure.
You know, and which is what they've been allowing, okay? And similar is a little vague, but if the building inspector understands that, then I think it's fine. But most people that I talked to said it should be the same construction. Now, again, cedar versus aluminum that matches, you know, is that similar? I don't know if it's exacting enough or not, but it's certainly better than what the past building inspectors have been doing, okay, as far as what I think it was meant to be. If you look back in just around North Hudson for the last 40 years or whatever, most of the garages kind of matched the house, you know, and then someplace in there, it started losing it, you know, that idea that it should be similar, and the word compatible was lost. And I think, you know, just recently that I think it's gotten, you know, way out of line, you know, for what it was meant to be. So, I mean, I'm okay with similar if that's what you guys would like, and that's why I brought it up, you know.
we appreciate that, yeah.
Sure.
Is there any other discussion on it?
But we also don't have a definition of a garage.
Yeah, we
Right.
do. Well, there is here.
Well,
So many square feet and.
it
all that's in
is
there.
as of the top. So then what is a shed? And so people say, oh, I'm making this, it's movable. Movable by what? So when somebody puts down a 30 by 30 shed,
Yeah.
well, and you put a garage door on it, so it's not a garage door, it's a shed, because it's under that side. And they say, well, it's not a permanent structure.
Okay, if you look at this, it says, home occupation is gainful occupied conducted within a residential dwelling or permitted accessory building conducted by immediate family members living there, provided occupancy is clearly incidental. So if you look at the garage means any accessory building in a residential district for storage of private motor vehicles. So it clearly says it's for the storage of private motor vehicles. A residential garage shall not exceed 900 square feet of floor space and shall be material of architecture compatible with the principal structure. So it says it's for vehicle, private vehicle.
So somebody can build what they call these days is a she shed. And they can just build one to any dimension that they want to. How do we understand that that's something different outside? I just wonder if that's going to come ever in conflict with this. And I guess I haven't looked up more in that, and I don't know if anybody else has any information on this, because then that's allowing anybody to kind of build anything, and they're like, well, it's movable. And they're like, it's not, you know, posted to the ground. But I always have the concern when these movable sheds that
Sure.
are placed around aren't secured, and they're like, well, it's not secured. Well, then what about storms and straight wall winds, tornadoes? We don't have the luxury of that close to us due to the valley. But then I look at personal endangerment or home endangerment around. I just wonder if, you know, if we're talking about this subject right now, you know, it opens the gates to other things. And I don't mean to open this up like a can of worms, but, you know,
Well, I think we need to move that to a different,
Right.
to a different agenda, because this is purely based on garage.
Yeah, I think the shed is covered under different provisions.
Yeah.
And I don't
Okay.
have those here tonight.
I
I
yeah.
did zero research on sheds. Garage was the issue, went after the garages, and that's where it came up with the wording on. So is there any other discussion on it?
Well, I think a garage has a maximum height of 18 feet that's in there.
Yep.
It has to have a concrete floor, and it has to be wood framing. Now, I think if you change the wood framing to say 16 inches on center, your 2x4s, whereas a pole barn can have them this far
Yeah.
apart, you get away from people building pole barns saying, well, it's got wood framing. You know what I mean? And that's going to help your building inspector know what you want, all right? And then it should be in materials that are compatible or similar instead of compatible. I think compatible would have worked, and it had probably for years until they got going on that word, apparently. Said
Yeah.
it was too vague. So, I mean, you're close, but I think wood framing could be specified to be, 16 inches on center, which is, everything should be 16 inches on center minimum.
Yeah.
You know, just for strength and
Well,
whatever.
I believe there's someplace else in here that talks about building criteria
Yeah.
for it. And that touches on what you were saying.
It doesn't say when wood framing, 16 inches on center.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, and I think that's what you should put in there if you're trying to avoid this conflict of saying, well, it's wood framing, when really it's not, the same architecture and building materials as your existing structure of your house.
I don't know enough about building to know I know that my house is 16 on center, right?
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know if it's enough.
better be, that's code.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's,
And is it 2x6 or 2x4 then?
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, then you're going down a rabbit hole of,
Kind of beyond what we're here
Yeah.
for tonight, too.
yeah.
Right.
So, so any other discussion from anyone? Anyone want to make a motion to recommend to the board that we add the wording exterior color, design, and/or material shall be similar to the principal building?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, so we'll make a recommendation to the board to add that wording, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Good to bring that up.
Okay. Next item is concept plan for development of railroad property of Hudson LLC by Bruce Lenz
I
and
didn't
discussion of.
get it done,
We
so-
changed. the
Oh, that's right,
agenda.
that came up. I
What happened?
apologize.
That got struck.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we got an email yesterday, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was an updated
Uh-huh.
agenda.
Yeah. So number 6, comprehensive plan, review survey questions, and prepare a recommendation for the board. So,
All right, good evening, Plan Commission. I'm Brett Boudreau from St. Clair County Community Development Department. Nicole Peterson has been working with you previously. She's my colleague at the county. She had another meeting to attend tonight in the town of Kinnickinnick, working on their comprehensive plan. So here I am. With that, I guess it's up to you to step through the survey, and I will take notes or make comments on that, or if there's any comments right off the bat. But a couple things, if I could, before I forget. We're still looking for the signed agreement between the village and the county for the planning project. I'm not sure if that comes from the town board, or the village board. I'm sorry.
That was approved.
It was approved, okay.
I don't-
Yep, got it.
I'm not sure why it wasn't signed, but yeah, they
Okay.
approved it at the last town.
All right, so we'll get that document then eventually, and that signed agreement. And then another thing that I wanted to mention before I forget here at the beginning, is, are there any village board members on the plan commission? So there's nobody in common. One of the items I want to make sure is that the village board knows the progress of the plan as it goes through. And so if somebody from the Plan Commission provides information and updates to them on the village board meetings on a monthly basis, so that at the end of the project, there's not some surprise to the village board what the Plan Commission has been working
I
on.
think we could all look at a camera right now and say that they are following.
Okay, very good. Someone is watching. All right, good. Well, that was just, I wanted to make sure that I covered that base. And again, if you are watching, you can attend this meeting as well anytime and participate in the Plan Commission as we work through the project. With that, we have the survey that we want to get out to your residents coming up in October, or when we ever get approval from the Plan Commission and the town board on the survey questions, and we can release that. We will put that out on the county's website and link it to the village's website, and then hopefully the village will broadcast it. I don't know if there's a village email list, the newspaper, things like that, to put it out to the citizens to take that online survey.
What about the people that aren't connected to email or any of the other
Right.
things you mentioned? They don't get a newspaper. There are lots of older people in this community that probably would not fill this out
Okay.
because they wouldn't know how.
Right.
Or they wouldn't even know it existed.
On
That's
the
my
don't know exists part, I don't know how to do that any differently than what I had just described. You know, the village could do a mailing to folks, I suppose. Again, maybe there's some radio, the local cable, the newspaper. But as far as going online and filling it out, what we will do is we'll provide paper copies that are available here at the village hall that somebody could come and pick up and then fill it out. And then we would just take that back and enter it into the system. So that's how we would take care of that piece if somebody didn't want to do it online.
So based on your experience.
Yeah.
Of doing it the way you're doing it.
Yep.
The way you just described of having obviously some paper copies here.
Yep.
Filling it out online, what do you consider to be a good participation rate?
Right. The town of Kinnickinnick has 1,800 citizens. I don't know offhand the number of adults there, but, you know, some, let's see, how many households would that be? I think we got responses of like 200 households from Kinnickinnick, or
So if you
200
get
survey.
1,800 with the average of 4,
Yep,
that would be about 500 households. So you
Yep.
get about a 40%,
yep,
roughly a 40% participation rate.
yeah.
Is that pretty normal over the years?
It's been that, yep.
And what do
when Richmond
what do
did
they
it, it
choose
was
to use for that? Is there like a postcard, a placard mailer? Does anybody do that, or is it just
We
kind of-
have had some of our communities send out a postcard mailer, things like that. Again, like a lot of the communities have an email list. People would sign up on the website. You may already have that email list, is what I'm saying, and then you could forward it on to those folks. Yeah, or they do some sort of mailings as well. I don't know if the town has, or the village has a newsletter, something like that. No.
No, they don't have a newsletter.
I know St. Joe does because I still get it. Someone made a recommendation that we add if you own or rent in the village.
Yep, I've got that listed here as one of the additions. Is that something that you want to add to the residents part? We can certainly do that. I mean, it's easy to add to the list of questions.
One of the board members requested that.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, but could you go over the background of this in terms of how it was developed?
Sure. Yep. So within state statutes for the plan, comprehensive plan, there's a list of elements are called, the various chapters. Transportation, there's one on agriculture, natural, cultural resources, housing, land use. Let's see, what else? Yeah, let me go right down the list. Housing, transportation, utilities and community facilities is a chapter. Agricultural resources, as I said, cultural resources, economic development, land use. So all of those chapters need to be addressed, even though some of them may not apply necessarily to North Hudson. So that's where those questions were developed from, and from our other surveys that we have done. Now, those other surveys are township, like I said, town type related, maybe not as related to the village, but we have taken the questions and tried to fit them better to the village for sure. But I think there could be some that the village may want to look at and craft a little bit differently.
So when you look at the utilities and community facilities,
Yeah,
there's a couple items there that we don't have. We
Yep.
don't have a recreation center, we don't have a swimming pool.
right.
We have a
So I guess,
river,
pardon?
we have a river
Yeah,
and a beach,
Yeah,
two
but it-
beaches.
but we don't have, and we really don't have a library. The library's in Hudson. So I guess my question is, are those questions relevant? Or are those trick questions to see if somebody's actually reading the survey?
Very good question, whether they're relevant or not. But yeah, like you say, swimming pool, okay? So there is no swimming pool.
You just, Mark, don't know.
Don't know, or they would say need improvement. We can cross that out, certainly. Perhaps we ask the question a little bit differently, because the plan itself can be also forward-looking. Let's say of the 400 responses you get, all of them say, yeah, we want a swimming pool. Well, that could be something that is looked into the future. Obviously, there's needs and wants
That's,
going on, but
from having done this before,
Yeah.
that's part of this, is to be forward-looking. What's it gonna look like in 10, 15 years from now? What do you want? I mean, we wanted some things that never, ever happened.
Yep.
But we had the plan to think about it.
I don't
You know.
disagree with that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, it makes it look like you took a cookie cutter form and said, what do you think of our swimming pool? Well, we don't have a swimming pool. What do you think of our recreation center? Well, we don't have a recreational center.
Okay.
So that's just my opinion. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me
Well,
or
we
not.
might get well, not recreation, but a community center,
Well, we don't have one.
no, in the near future. But
Yeah.
it's in the plan
Yeah.
to do that. And somewhere you have to count for the things, and I don't know where that comes with your organization and what we did before. But the plan was like a wish list. I mean, we're gonna have a shopping mall down in the train yard. You know, we were gonna turn that into a really attractive place.
yeah, in fact, I think if I recall, I would have to ask Nicole, but I believe that number 10 and some of the things you're bringing up were some of the items that may have been on a previous
Probably was,
survey
because I
like
haven't
that.
looked at that for
So,
however many years ago it was, but.
but yeah, if those are items that you want us to remove or state this question differently, we can certainly do that.
I think there should be a wish list.
That's what we had.
So
a
do
wish
we, where are we coming from, like, well, I guess how much time do we have to look over this? What do we take to review it? And what do we see that we'd like to ask? Because, if we think this is plain Jane cookie cutter, and we think that it needs to be set more towards us, for example, like a question, like, what do you think of curb appeal in North Hudson? Like, I would like to suggest that question myself. When do we get to do this? Is this now? Do we need to have more time to talk about this? And how do we decide on what we wanna see? Like, what is our time frame on this whole thing? And how do we keep this
Well,
moving?
based on the agenda, the strategy here, and please correct me if I'm wrong, was that we were gonna discuss the survey at this meeting to see if we should recommend to the board that we move forward with this survey as we see it here. And that's why one of the board members made the recommendation to add resident, or, you know, if you rent or if you own, to the list. So, I mean, the only things I picked up on was, do you like the pool we have, and do you like the community center we have, or the, whatever term.
But that could be a wish, that would be a wish list thing, and I don't know where the wish list comes in.
Yeah,
Do you desire? a
my only,
pool?
yeah, that would be my, like he just said, the recommendation probably would be, would you desire a pool, would you desire a community center, right?
Okay, yep,
Because we don't have one.
right,
don't have
right.
So don't tell me how you like something you don't have.
I think before that, if you look at the vision on item 4 for quality of life, really zeroing in on what is the most important comprehensive plan topic, select one. I see that as an area where it would be nice to maybe get more than one line item. What are the most important comprehensive plan topics? Maybe 2 choices. And then under community facilities, perhaps pairing out and having emergency services for law enforcement, fire, and EMS as one heading, and then more into facilities instead of lumping that in such an important line item with facilities. I think would be interesting to find out, you know, a ranking separate from those topics.
Yeah, you can't
Idea.
Great point.
put
And,
all those together.
and pick 2, because there's a lot of really important items there. Maybe somebody is concerned about emergency services and really would like to concentrate on groundwater quality, wetlands, you know,
Okay.
but would give us a better sampling of what's really important for a couple of bullet points for vision for us
Okay.
to concentrate
Okay.
on versus just one.
The
Sure.
other
So,
options have a 5-point scale after each item, rank them 1 to 5. I think, I would find that a lot more informative.
I think that's much more informative, if you
Okay.
could rank what some of these are.
right. I'm not sure if our survey tool can do that.
Can do that.
Yeah, and the other thing, if you do that and we have line items that are, they don't exist, then what are you really ranking? If we don't have transportation, railroad, airports, then are we getting a good sampling of the importance if they're irrelevant for our area?
Well, they're relevant as they are now, right?
We do have roads and we do have,
Well, we don't have
That's some tacky.
airports, we don't have
well, they're
transit.
around us. I mean, they're accessible
I-
from this community.
I think we should each go through here with that in mind and make some comments and bring these back. I'll be glad to collate all that information. I think that's really important, your point. There's just a lot of things here that don't pertain.
Yeah, I agree with everybody that there could be a wish list where, you know, we
Is
may
there,
want some of those items.
is there a place for a wish list in your survey, or?
Yeah, I mean,
Sort of.
there's, we can add,
I haven't read the whole thing.
add a question like that.
There's a thing at the end here that says, where is it? It's kind of like that, but it really isn't, if that
What
makes
page?
sense. On the page, like land use development and growth zoning, what do you think about?
Oh, land
doing
use.
certain things?
So going back to.
We don't have a choice on growth because
We're out of land.
we're out of land, so I don't think that's a option unless we inherit some land from,
Right, going back to Mr. Wantville, separating out those questions, sort of, like you said, and, you know, what's the most important thing in utilities? What's the most important thing in community facilities? Was that the idea?
I was just saying that asking for just one choice seemed pretty narrow.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of important topics.
Right.
I just thought that if we are gonna make it one choice or a couple, I'd like to see emergency services as a carve-out and not just lumped in with healthcare and childcare facilities and
Okay,
libraries.
got
Because
it.
I think
Yeah.
they're very distinctly
they're
different.
different.
And you were saying,
Go ahead.
And you were saying that due to your system that we wouldn't be able to divide it all up.
Yeah, we can divide it up into more questions.
Okay.
For sure.
Could we-
What I'm saying is I'm not sure if we can ask people to rank them.
Well, you've
Okay.
essentially done that on the last page. I mean, you've got the same concept on the last page in terms of the format. You've got
Yeah,
the 4 levels of response.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's pretty good.
So I would think the system can deal with it.
yeah, definitely, yep.
In that same regard, since we're there, I have no idea what intergovernmental cooperation exists. I know what it is, but I have no idea. I have no concept of
Well,
it.
We do have a committee for that.
there's a committee that meets with other townships, and
Right, but this is
people-
going to the citizens.
they wouldn't know what it
They
meant.
won't have a concept.
No, they wouldn't know what
Okay.
it meant.
Do we
For
feel
the
that there
most
needs
part.
to be
Some people will.
definitions of any
I
of
shouldn't say
this?
nobody will,
Okay.
but
Are there any other best practices you've learned from other communities that we need to embrace?
Best practices. Good question. Best practices regarding the survey?
The survey and means of getting people to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean,
Yep.
do
I'm
it
gonna
is
do it
a whole
because-
nother, it's really long, for people to come and, it's a lot of pages for people to take the survey. You know,
Yeah,
if I get surveys in the mail from, I don't know, wherever, and there's more than 10 questions, I just, if there's this many pages, I parse it, unless it was something I was really concerned about.
right, right.
But you get stuff all the time that they want you
so
to.
Gene, when you guys did this last time, I think you were the only one that was here last time, right?
I know, that's too bad.
I know you, because you said you wanted to chair that committee, right? Yeah.
No, I don't want
So
to
I guess the
share it. I don't
question
even
I
want
have
to
for you
be here
is, how
for
did
it.
you guys do it last time, 10 years ago?
Well, we didn't use the county, number one. We used River Falls. Something in River Falls was students and stuff organized.
Oh, you
it.
used the marketing,
And we
okay,
had
market research.
whatever they had there, then I can't tell you. I'd
Through
have
like
to
the
get-
college?
Yeah.
At the college, yeah.
I used to hire colleges
And
to
they
do that.
used,
for me.
yeah, they used to do different surveys for us. We did,
Oh, you used the Survey Research Center to do it?
I don't
Yeah,
know what
yep.
it was. It
Yeah,
was
we
10 years ago.
worked with them quite a bit on surveys, but then that's another expense that you end up with. So, I mean, a survey through the Survey Research Centers,
I don't know how much we paid for
$5,000 to
it. It
$10,000.
wasn't on the paying part.
You do get a representative survey and representative sample, however, because the difference between this open survey that goes out online or gets emailed to somebody or they decide to take the survey, there's a little bit of, self-selection for the survey that only people that are truly interested in these things are going to take the survey, and you might not reach the population that doesn't really care. Now, the doesn't really care people might get the survey in the mail or get information about it, but and not take it, but they're going to get another prod from the Survey Research Center so that we try to get the representative sample. So that's the difference. Now, so in this type of survey, then we want as many people as possible to take it. So, but again, it's a guide. It's a guide to what the community feels, to what your citizens' wishes are for the community.
So my question to everybody here, does anybody know how many people, so like I get an email from the village when something goes on, like the phone system's down, they get an email that says phone system's
I
down.
don't know. I don't get one. How do you get that?
You sign up on a list on their website.
Yeah, Gina's trying to create that list. She started doing that.
Did she?
Develop
No,
that list.
I don't know a lot of things, because I don't,
Okay, so I don't know how big that list is.
Yeah, I don't know.
that would be
either,
nice
but
if
yeah.
the power
Okay.
went out. Well.
Gene, if you
Excel
want it.
tells me.
When
But-
I'm riding my bike tomorrow, I'll stop by and we'll sign you up.
You know, I just
Or
don't
if you give me your
remember.
email address, I'll get it signed
The
up
other
for
thing
you.
we did, we made questions up that we asked people. We also had like open houses for people to come in, and we had things they could respond to
Yep, that's one of the items on the schedule of the project plan is the initial open house and
But you can talk
vision
about-
session. We had hopefully planned to have that in October. And at that meeting, then also, announce the survey again to those people. Hopefully more than previous people had seen the survey and taken it.
So how did we advertise this 10 years ago? Was there a mailer, a placard?
I think we mailed out stuff. Because people didn't have emails and, I don't know.
I'd be interested to
I
see what
maybe
we
had
got
an
from
email
last
there.
time, but I really do like the idea that we do reach out through a mailer.
There's a
Hopefully they
tentative
read it.
schedule to get it all done.
Well, now, is that mailer specific, like, this is North Hudson's business, and you're a member of North Hudson, and this is pertains to you?
Okay.
Yeah, I would think that it'd be like attention,
Like, wow, I'm getting this
village,
info.
I mean, I hope that I'm sure if they've done it before, but,
Yeah, that's great.
residents of, important residents of
Of how to get the survey.
village.
Can you find it online? Here's how you find it.
Right.
Yep.
And then that we will advertise the
get
open
it.
house and that they could pick it up here.
They can pick it up here if they don't do, I don't know that you need a great big thing, but maybe even a big postcard or something.
Yeah, just.
Yeah, we
placard
helped with
card.
those postcards in the past where we put that contact
The
information
mail in
on
the
it.
survey this big to somebody's gonna cost you like $3.
Oh, yeah, and we are not mailing the
Oh, I don't
survey
think
out.
you
Staying
can
away from
mail the
that.
survey.
Postcard, but even that gets expensive.
This is a bigger survey that we
How many
have.
households?
Well, it has more
How many
pages.
households are
What's a stamp
It's
note?
just type bigger.
73 cents.
Is it really?
I think so.
Oh, my God.
But I
Okay,
mean,
does
you
anybody-
do have to reach out.
Does anyone else have any more questions?
I was wondering if we should be striking the agricultural resource section about how concerned are you if agricultural land is converted to other uses? We don't really have any land that I'm aware of that
That's
is
a valid point.
agricultural. We have land that might be wooded. And then is the question more about additional annexation into the village for residential development and expansion? Or is the question about converting agricultural land, which I'm not aware of, we have
don't
any
have any.
surrounding?
We got none.
We don't have any of those.
So then is the question,
Acquisition
as a
of-
resident, would you support additional annexation of property for future expansion of residential development instead of agricultural land?
That's very true, and whoever had that, whatever government body had that land, they would have to ask.
Well, an
be
individual
annexed.
could ask. So if somebody has a 40 that's wooded next to Derek's subdivision, off of Crowley in there, they would come forth and say, I'd like to annex the 40 into the village. That's a different question than I
Yeah,
think in
then-
saying, hey, we have agricultural
we don't have
land adjoining and we're
agricultural
taking ag land out.
That question about ag land would be, I think, like you're saying, a little bit maybe confusing to the residents.
We don't have any.
Yeah, 'cause you
Yeah,
don't
unless
have
we're
it.
trying to get,
Right.
are we asking,
The right
do you support
questions.
additional expansion of the village? From wooded
Mm-hmm.
land or other parcels or, annexation versus just the ag?
I think. Yeah.
Or just strike it all together and,
Well, I think your point about annexing land, if people are in favor of that. Some people are because they look at it and say, well, we spread the tax base out. Others say, well, I don't want to do that because it adds cost to the village, right? So you could argue both sides of that.
yeah, it's a
Better
legitimate
to
question,
know,
I
right?
think, as far as expansion.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so any other? Go ahead.
I'm not, how are you proceeding here with this? Are your assumption is you're gonna pass this on, or are we
Well-
gonna come back to this, or?
Well, here's my recommendation, I was just gonna throw out there,
Yeah.
if everybody was done talking about the subject, right? Is, I think what we do is we sit down with this, each of us just sits down with it and goes through it and identifies issues or opportunities that are in this document, right? And we come back next month, everybody puts everything on the table of what they're happy with, what they're not happy with, and then we make a recommendation to the board at the next meeting based upon our feedback at the next meeting. So my recommendation would be we look at it in depth. We got 30 days to do that. We add it to the agenda for next month, so that we make sure it's on the agenda, and we review the items on the survey and move forward. Because the longer we put it off, the longer it sits here without a recommendation of the board, the longer it's gonna take to get done, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And we need to move forward, right?
Can I suggest something?
Go ahead,
Instead of, having everybody submit their comments by next month, have everybody submit their comments in, say, 2 weeks. Then they can be compiled and sent to you, and then you can come back with a new version of this survey ready for the next board meeting, and hopefully then it's just a couple final little tweaks.
Great idea.
Yeah, it was,
Where would you do, if I went through this, what would I do with it?
Bring it in.
If I need to give it to somebody in 2 weeks?
I'd
Right
bring it
here.
into Gina, and she
Bring it
can,
into Gina
Scan
and
it.
let her handle it?
Yeah, we could scan
Okay.
it to you directly or something.
yeah, you could send it to me
Didn't you volunteer
directly
to do
or
that
to.
already?
Excuse me?
Didn't you volunteer to do that before?
Yeah, I'd be glad to, actually.
He volunteered to compile it all earlier in our discussion, if you're still willing to do that.
Sure.
So you would compile it, say, into an email, is that it? Or how would you?
Well, if
how
you,
would-
sure, if I get the, the file for this, I'll be
Yep.
glad to. I'll just tally and insert comments if there's comments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we delete things that we think are useless?
Make notes,
Is that
right?
a
Yeah,
choice?
make
mark it up
notes.
as you wish.
Yeah,
Okay.
please do.
It's like the swimming pool.
Like agricultural land and swimming pool. But some people might really want a swimming pool.
Not saying people don't want it, but how do you rate the one we have?
Oh,
Maybe, we need to ask the question differently.
Yeah,
We need
yeah.
water in it.
Maybe they want a splash pad.
Yeah,
There you go.
oh, splash pad, that'd be fun. Those are really cool.
I thought there was one coming. Wasn't that the thing last year on
That was the big
Facebook?
thing last year in Hudson, yeah.
Yeah.
No, great ideas.
Okay.
So we're saying 2 weeks from this date.
Bring this to the village,
No,
so
we're gonna-
Randall can pick
we-
it up.
We can email it right to you, right? That'd be the best thing to do, or what would you
Email,
recommend?
send.
Oh, that'd be great. Sure, just send it to me via email.
Oh, boy. And your email's on
I don't know, I gave it, I don't know if you
Or
guys,
write on it on a paper copy and provide it to Randall? Is that it?
I don't know how to email it to Randall.
well,
You can just drop it
I
off.
don't know where.
Yeah, we'll
our-
just drop it off.
Okay, well, somebody just said you have to
No, we'll
email
just
it
drop
to
it
him.
off.
I'm like,
We'll just
okay.
drop
I
it off.
haven't ever seen a roster.
To
for
Gina.
these
Would be,
meetings.
Okay.
if they were dropped off here, we could get them to you.
Oh, yeah,
still.
just
the.
drop
Okay,
off
we'll
here,
just drop
send
them
them-
off here for
For
you
Gina.
then.
Yeah,
What's
Okay.
the date of,
2 weeks from today,
I know, what number? It's the 21st, so
day after Labor Day.
How about
right after
September,
Labor Day,
September
10th or something.
5th?
The state fair will be over for 2 days.
I don't know about the state. I don't go, well, I have gone, because my granddaughter had horses and it's like that. Oh,
How about September 11th? Meeting's
Well-
the 18th. No,
Well, you
yeah.
better have it in
Oh.
before the 11th.
No,
and
how about the 4th then,
I
September
think
4th?
the 4th would be better for. you have
Everybody
to
good with
give
September 4th?
Randall a little time to look through.
no problem.
All right, so drop it off here.
And then you'll get it to us, to Nicole. I don't know if you have her contact information
I
from
do
us.
not.
Okay,
Nikki would have it, or Nikki, Gina would have it.
Gina would have it, yeah.
If you just do it,
Okay, so
Randall,
I
then
will compile and I'll get it all back to Gina. And
Okay.
Apparently then she'll forward it to you.
Yeah, okay, that works good,
Okay.
yeah,
Perfect.
very good. All right, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Not yet.
Okay, so we need a motion to what we're gonna do. Anybody wanna make a motion? Don't we? We don't need a
Yeah, you
motion?
don't
We
even
don't-
need a motion for that.
We don't?
That's just
No,
your
Okay.
plan moving
need
forward.
action.
this is our plan,
Yeah, you
Okay.
need action.
and it's the action plan for
You know,
this meeting.
Okay.
Thank you for coming out.
Hey, very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for.
Thanks.
Sorry we had so many questions.
No,
Questions are good.
I appreciate the input
process.
and interest. It's a lot. Once we get going, I think, then we'll have materials available for each of the meetings, for each of the chapters, for your review. And and take comments and go through this process like this, so.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yep.
Old business? Or routine business, excuse me?
It's just an update on, maybe you know about the road vacation. The board sent it to the Public Works Committee to take a look at it.
Okay.
They haven't made a decision.
Then they send it to safety too?
Yeah,
No?
yeah, to two of them,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, good, thank you.
We'll see what comes of that.
Okay. Motion to adjourn,
Motion
right?
to adjourn.
So move to adjourn.
Second?
second.
There you go, second. Great, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Waiting.
Ah, that was good.
Remember.